Hello, everybody, and welcome back after a week of hiatus as I was skiing. Though I know you had other streams out there, like, for example, a couple of Chloride streams over the last couple of days. So, hope you didn't miss me too much. But we are back for some hot action here with Division 1 of WARNO League Season 6, and we have some really old school veterans here that have had great runs in the past here ahead of us in the group stage. Scuff versus Darkneutron making the start, and we have quite the interesting matchups here of old school division and maps with Mount River and Vertigo, and 7th Panzer versus 2nd Panzer Grenadier, and 1st Armored versus 56. So this should be a lot of fun. What do we have in the deployment here, Chloride?
What we have here is Scuff counterpicking 7th Panzer with 2nd Panzergrenadier, which is the way more aggressive division. 7th Panzer is known as arguably the lightest armored division in that it has even a very limited number of even like the medium level T-72 M1s. Instead, 7th Panzer compensates with a lot of strike aircraft and a really nice opener and early game. So we have a relatively standard 2 Spezialaufklärer, 1 Aufklärer opener with a recon helicopter, and then a meta-appropriate 2 T-55s with a bunch of just Motorschützen, standard infantry trying to take ground. And very importantly, these Motorschützen coming in with 100 kph BTR transports are trying to get into X-ray, into the 2-point zone in the middle, despite the Scuff and 2nd Panzergrenadier having the absolute forward deployment advantage with the Fallschirmjägers. And these Fallschirmjägers should be able to deploy there quicker, but considering nobody who is serious about 2nd Panzergrenadier is really going to open up and spam a bunch of Fallschirmjägers because those are such inefficient units. Only single one is landing onto X-ray. So Darkneutron seems to think that it's capable of challenging this opener with a little bit of deliberate aggro, knowing that there's going to be your Fallschirm Palamilans and Fallschirm Aufklärers, of course, going into very predictable locations. Now, the problem is that Scuff also is probably going to see this with the recon helicopter. So Scuff is going to challenge this with the Leopard 2, and the Leopard 2 and the Eyehawk basically acting as the counterweight to the T-55 and the Coupe on Darkneutron's side. And Darkneutron is really going to have to play with those Conqueresses to keep that Leopard out. If the Leopard can start trading out early and does not become victim of the Mi-24 or the Conqueresses, the Scuff is going to be able to start building up a powerful mechanized force in the middle. And Darkneutron is, even if Darkneutron technically controls the middle point of X-ray, that's going to be a bad position on the long term. Neither player is really investing that much into the top or the bottom area, so this is a very, very traditional, very standard middle face-off.
Yeah, BO-105 running in here. We have the T-55As here on 1 vet, not on 2 vet, so that is an interesting choice. We see them often coming in at 2 vet so that they get that bit of extra rate of fire and a bit of stress cohesion as well, so that when they get hit, because they don't have smoke, they can still try to get into cover. An interesting air battle here ensuing as well. The MiG-24 might be in danger, with the Tornado being a class above the MiG-23 ML. So the MiG-23 here, yeah, does get hit. MiG-24 does go down, and it gets the MiG-23 as well. Tornado here with an absolute sweep, not even taking any damage. Fantastic start here for Scuff, hunting down the MiG-2 now as well. Not quite able to get that one. Is on the way out now with the Coupe firing a missile, but that is really an amazing opening here for our player in blue.
Yeah, I mean, the 90-degree heat seeker, all aspect missiles, that's all I'm saying here. Now, the Spezialaufklärer and the Fallschirmjägers and Fallschirmjäger Aufklärers are exchanging fire here, and Darkneutron unloads the infantry force a little bit early, in my opinion, likely because they was very scared of the Milan 2, justifiably so. Milan 2 gets taken out by the MiG-21. as the Eyehawk was unloaded, the MiG-21 could safely retreat, and the Fallschirmjägers here are now they are finally getting under fire by the fire support, but the T-55s are going to be able to get into some kind of a fighting position here, most likely, and the Jaguar on the long ranges is not really doing anything. Now I think this is Scoof's move now. Scoof and the Leopard 2 is going, yes, immediately a Marder and a Leopard 1 following up the Leopard 2. So as I kind of predicted, Darkneutron gets into the zone, and Scoof starts building a mechanized counterforce. Scoof also, with the 9-man Jaeger Aufklärer squad, is walking up to enemy position up north, which is probably going to force Darkneutron also to spare some resources to recapture that area.
Yeah, and the Jäger Aufklärer is moving in north with a Marder, and there is no infantry at all up there, so Darkneutron in a bit of trouble there. Next tornado coming around. There is the coup, but it's quite far in the rear, and it is a 0-vet coup, so its chances of hitting a tornado are relatively slim on the longer ranges. Fallschirmjägers in the middle get pushed back, but the first SPW-70 gets killed by the Leo 2A3. That at least gives Darkneutron the intel that the Leopard, the big cat, is in that forest, but he has to be really careful now with his moves, and he doesn't even have a tick right now, because he hasn't brought a CV2 X-ray yet. He hasn't captured Lima yet, which is to be captured in a second, but at the same time, Alpha is going to fall in the north, and it might even be Scoof that then goes up to the tick here. So that's a bit annoying here for Darkneutron right now, that he can't hold the north at all.
Yeah, the T-72M and 3 infantry squads are moving in all as reinforcements. Infantry is going up north, and the tank is going the middle, but the single tank facing a superior tank and fire support is not going to be capable unless Scoof makes the first move, and specifically Scoof makes a bad move. Scoof with the MG3s, the Milans, and the Recon is going to have a relatively powerful firebase here, and it's going to be up to Darkneutron to basically have more stuff out there in the middle. But as long as Scoof knows that they can just keep on pressuring the secondary fronts, there's very little Darkneutron can do about this siege on the entrance of the middle.
The bombs miss in the north, don't even get the Jäger Aufklärer. MiG-21 gets shut down as well. The coup cannot retaliate, and at least gets the kill there. Pretty fortunate with a 0-vet coup. The first missile was on close range, but the second one was on a pretty long range, so that was quite lucky. The Leopard doesn't quite get hit by the Conquerors there. 2 Conquerors missile at least in the middle. But yeah, re-sieging the north for Darkneutron is going to be annoying. He might be able to siege the south, but there's good reinforcements there coming in for Scoof as well. So yeah, the center fight, that is the higher tech here for Scoof right now. So T-72s will have a tough time beating Leopards on the offense.
Yeah, this is T-72s, even the A3 variant, which is the most inferior Leopard 2 variant, is still completely superior to the T-72M. The T-72M does have a smoke launcher and a little bit of more stress resistance with the Resolute trait, but it has less range, less penetration, way less speed, and even less armor. So just it's going to be very, very difficult for T-72s to maneuver themselves against Leopard 2s. Like I said, Scoof has to commit to an attack, get into a bad position, and that is when the T-72s can start rolling. Now, M110, best artillery piece in the game, starting out and destroying a Conkers. But already this puts the Spezialaufklärer, this puts every ATGM, this puts the Kub at risk. Everything is now under risk for Darkneutron. If the enemy has an M110, you need to deal with it. If you don't deal with it, if you deal with it 5 minutes later, you're probably gonna lose like 3 or 4 units in that time.
Yeah, and the infantry in the north trying to maneuver, but there is a decent amount of fire support there for Scoof, holding them back from moving further into the town. We have 2 T-72s now rotating north as well. Reinforcements on the side of Scoof going up there too. 1 Leo 1A5 and a Milan 2 that should arrive still on time with a Fuchs Milan. So that should help out keeping that northern alpha zone. And Currently, we have a point lead for Darkneutron, but it is a lot more fragile. His hold on X-Ray is a lot less secure than the hold of Scuff currently in the north. That is the issue. And with him not doing any moves in the south, and the MR10, yeah, now finding its second victim with the Spezialaufklärer, this position currently is not getting any better. As 7th Panzer, you usually want to be the one that keeps up the pressure, but the momentum already has swung around, and it basically has already swung when the tornado came in and just shut down the MiG-23 and the Mi-24D.
Yeah. Another infantry unit now trying to get a beachhead here, the 9-man Panzergrenadier squad moving up. And Motorschützen SVDs will be able to fight it off, especially with their fire support and their the SPW-70 in a very nice corner position where it's pretty safe from enemy fire, but can intercept any infantry that is trying to cross the area. Of course, the Motorschützen SVD, anyways, better armed and in better positions. But yeah, okay, here we come. Darkneutron is sending out 3 planes, 1 seed, and 2 light bombers. The light bombers are engaging.
Seed plane finds a Gepard. Eyehawks were turned off though, and 1 retaliates against the MiG-21, gets a good kill there. MiG-21 now trying to get onto the Eyehawk, but gets pushed back. Seed plane gets hit as well. The other Eyehawk turned back on. Might even find a kill there. No, it doesn't quite find a kill, but the other one does, and that is a devastating loss in the air. At the same time, artillery finds the T-55As, so gets 1 killed. Conqueror's missile gets a hit on the transport, but it unloads just in time beforehand, so the northern reinforcements here for Scuff still coming in, and yeah, it once more turns out trying to play with aircraft on this map is a terrible idea, but trying to play with artillery is a great idea. The MR10 here for Scuff paying off big time, the bombers for Darkneutron not paying off at all, and I still don't know why Division 1 players still play planes on this map.
Yeah, I guess you already have the MiG-21, so might as well try to commit to that. I don't think they knew about the second Eyehawk. I think against a single Eyehawk, it's good enough with 3 planes, but against 2, that's too much. Or also Gepard kind of pulled in the first shot, maybe making Darkneutron a little bit more too confident about that attack. Now, Darkneutron's attacks are happening up north now with a bunch of Milans targeting these factory model T-72s. These are the ones that have bad range, bad accuracy, and no smoke. Pure fire support tanks for a very cheap price of 130. And they are working together with some zero-wet Pioneer Flams, which are not the worst units around here, but the problem is that with so many Milan 2s and even the Leopard 1A5s here, they are exactly the force that is not countered with the Pioneer Flams. So as long as the T-72s are pushed away by the ATGMs, the tanks, the Schwillings can deal with the infantry. So far, Scuff not losing critical amounts of forces, buying a second M110 as the first one now has spent 11 of its 12 base ammunition. And yeah, Scuff is going full Russian with this. And when we say Russian, we of course refer to the top Russian players, Scuff being one of them, which is often very fire support and very artillery based. And this is inspired by Pro Commie, multiple time world champion leader in this game.
Yeah, and the MR10s here really close on the front line, so their accuracy is pinpoint. The SPW 40 E2, they're the leader in the center zone, being the next victim most likely. The MR10 firing onto the T-72, gets a good hit there as well, likely will find the kill there as well, as Darkneutron is going in a bit late with the reaction, and yeah, loses the T-72 through that fire, and once more showing that artillery on this map is just really, really deadly, and the T-72s in the north getting a decent push in, but now the Milan 2s coming onto them. The Matcherino got the layer 1A5, so there is a bit of room for the Pioneers plus T-72, but it's not enough in the number of units there to really get the job done. Pioneer Flamethrowers will get the Zwillinge, and the T-72 here will do its best against the infantry, but there's so much coming in here for Scuff, and the center position is so fragile now. 2 Conquerors teams, which against 2 M110s won't survive long, and the T-55A, which can't do anything basically when the Leo 2A3 comes knocking. So once there is a bit of infantry here for Scuff, this center should collapse quite quickly.
Yeah, this is Scuff now slowly creeping up with infantry, both in the southwest and the Fallschirmjäger Aufklärer in the middle here. This would be the moment for Darkneutron to counterattack, and the two T-72 M1s, which is the best variant this division gets, those have a little bit extra armor compared to the M variants, but those should now start doing some kind of damage. Even the Motorschützen and SVD are retreating from the position, knowing that this is not tenable right now. Excellent Milan 2 positioning up north, flanking and basically attacking the flank of Darkneutron's mech force. And meanwhile, Darkneutron has not been able to actually get into Alpha, and this pincer movement basically from Scuff is working perfectly. There are no proper angles for the Conquerors really to do stuff here. Conquerors trying to find a Fuchs Milan that is driving in the middle.
Yeah, and there goes another T-55. The M110's doing so well, being close to Vet Sultan here as well, so they even go up to 2 Vet, meaning that their aim time goes even lower, their reload time goes lower, and yeah, this fight here is really, really bad now for Darkneutron. The T-72 M1's not really finding any value. The Mi-24P is a good investment that can push back Leos quite efficiently, but it can't quite find the kill here, and it just doesn't have enough support anymore around it to really hold on for the middle for that much longer. The northern push here is still trying to go forward. The units got repaired here by Ural. Good maneuvering there by Darkneutron, but the early game just didn't go where 7th Panzer wants to be, and then he invested a bit too much into the air to really have a shot of holding the ground, and the M110s really were the nail in the coffin here, really well used by Scuff as per usual. When you let Scuff get around to use artillery, you are in big trouble.
Oh, and the Milan's final shot takes that. Side shots the T-72 M1. Strela 10 getting taken out. And yeah, at this point, last hope for Darkneutron here is this infantry attack up north, or actually combined arms attack up north, to quickly beat back the enemy before they can fortify X-ray. But unfortunately, that's considering there's like 2 Schwillings, a Gepard, and a bunch of vehicles back there. That's, even though they are all in a close-knit position, which could, maybe be attacked with artillery, Darkneutron unlikely to deal with them.
Yeah, Gepard gets the Mi-24, gets shot down by a T-72 afterwards. That T-72 in the north actually did quite a lot of work for Darkneutron, but with this, how well Scuff dismantled the center, that does not play the biggest role here right now. Ihawk gets the next MiG-21, so yeah, the T-72 gets another martyr, is fighting off the Leo 1A1s there quite well, but the infantry is going down, and the push in the north doesn't have any meat in it anymore either. And yeah, I feel like with 7th Panzer in this matchup, you have to keep as few support units around as possible and invest into as many combat units as possible to win early fights, and then maybe start investing into the support units earlier. But Darkneutron tried to play a relatively normal game against the division with M110s, with a division that has the higher quality units in the late game, and that just seems like an odd choice. Like, a lot of Conqueror's missiles being brought around by him, then all those planes, and a good amount of recon instead of T-72s and more Matcherino, and I feel like that is not a winning strategy in this matchup.
Yeah, it's the 7th Panzer has so many more tanks than 2nd Panzergrenadier. Like, if you looked at this on paper, you would want to have the T-72s always engage enemy tanks with a numerical superiority, and when that numerical the SPW-40 gets taken out, when that numerical superiority is achieved, 2nd Panzergrenadier is going to be in a really bad position trying to use their small and lower tech, or at least lighter, tank tab against just a growing number of T-72s. And with the T-72s being bad at maneuvering, being bad at, being precise, but being really good at multiplying. And the Scuff's kind of I mean, it's not a. It is a standard opener to open with a single tank and a bunch of different ATGMs, because the Leopard 2 can maneuver. The Leopard 2 can escape from a fight. And I think Darkneutron investing into those Conquerors missiles that really didn't end up doing that much. And also, as you said, with those planes, which were then immediately made obsolete by the Eyehawks, I think just with this strategy of laying mechanized siege on X-ray, part of that strategy should have been taking artillery from as early as possible. Just try to attrition away those Milan 2s, try to force the enemy to rebuy them, and even do counter battery against the M110s. And as here we can see, the M110s, they are so immensely powerful. No bombers have to be played from Scuff. Scuff can just keep on buying standard fighting units, whereas Darkneutron is also buying standard fighting units, but also losing every single fight. It is, I don't know, I think it, like, Scuff's super standard opener should have been predictable to Darkneutron, I think.
Yeah, good shots there in the north again. Gets another T-72 here. And there we go. GVGPs. So, job well done by Scuff here. And Darkneutron not quite finding the right opener there. Though, obviously, also really unfortunate with how that air trade went on in the early stages. Bit of a miss micro there on the MiG-23. You don't want to have that run into a tornado in a 1v1 situation. You want to force the tornado to get closer to your coop before you engage there. But in the end here, still a really, really clean game out of one of the best players in WARNO history here. And Scuff getting one step closer to the playoffs. Darkneutron has been there a good couple of times in the past as well. But if he wants to get there this season, he better wins next game to keep the chances a good bit higher. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, this was a really dominant Scuff victory here. And next game, gonna be an old school map as well. We're gonna go to Vertigo with two old school divisions as well. First Armored Division versus 56 VDV. A division on the up with First Armored. Currently with the strength of the Tornadoes, it's a really powerful division. Also the Chieftain buffs and so on. 56, a division that got nerfed quite a couple of times, but still is a powerhouse. So that is going to be an interesting matchup on Vertigo. Let's see how it all goes. Quick break, guys, and then we're going to be back with the second game of the series. And here we go again. Scuff versus Darkneutron on Vertigo. These two guys sticking with the old school maps. And before we jump in, guys, one more quick shout out to the Matcherino page, where you can support the whole shebang here financially, and that doesn't even cost you anything. All you have to do is go to the Matcherino page and click the claim code button on the top right here. And we only have 2 codes remaining, and if we get that to 0, then we can ask Matcherino for more of these codes of free money that we can add to the prize pool. So thanks to all of you like Pibbat, Adam, and Crabcake here who did use the button, and also thanks to everybody who did contribute directly. Praying Wolf here, 24th US, 36, Griffin, and Co. And yeah, 277 and 25 cents there. One more claim code button remaining, so one of you only needs to use it. Then we can ask Matcherino for more free money to the prize pool. So yeah, just get in there quickly, guys. And also, obviously, guys, follow Mr. Chloride over at his Twitch channel if you haven't done so and you want more WARNO in your life. That was a misclick.
I streamed today. Right before this, I streamed 3 hours of Spanish infantry aggro. Are you not interested? In Guzman, El Guzman Bueno.
Yeah, so have some fun over there as well, guys. Twitch chat, the link is in the chat as well. And with that, let's get back into WARNO League action here, where we start with some 56 here with the classic aggro coming out. But first, UK coming out with quite a lot of deployment here from the get-go on the front line as well.
Yeah, so number 1, Darkneutron. You are clearly trying to play forward deployment aggro. Why are you only have 3 Terriers para in your opener? Why are they not upvetted? You get 3 of them if you upvet them. Why do you risk your entire game against a very powerful infantry division, which famously gets everyone freely upvetted? Why do you have 0 with Terrius Para? I don't know. I mean, this is an immediate weakness here. Is the fact that the 8-man Terrius Para are going to have to carry quite a lot and are debuffed heavily for the sake of availability, which is not being used in here. But in both players are basically doing their versions of the same thing, which is maximalist aggro, but followed up, but maximalist aggro on the north and middle, with a mechanized standard convoy going into the Boris and Anna regions down south. And on Scuff's side, this means you get some ATGMs and a T-62, the T-62MD with the good AT missile, the Bastion missile, and on Darkneutron's side, being the more powerful armored division, is getting 2 upvetted chieftains and a track rapier, which should be capable of fighting anything that 56 is bringing out, especially in the early game. 56th here is bringing out the Spetsnaz DRU with the Stingers looted from the goodie bags of the Mujahideen, and they only have 3 shots, but with forward deployment and special forces, the accuracy is excellent. So Spetsnaz GRU transported with AGS-17 transports, so you get the overpowered grenade launchers as well, with Rasvedka BMP2s upwetted to 2 veterancy. So you get both an excellent fighting squad and a very powerful vehicle, but only 2 of them in the opener here. This is going to be challenged by the British forward deploying Milan 2s, which are very powerful, but deploying quite defensively, as well as the SAS patrols, which are great special forces recon units with no AT weapons. And the SAS patrols are expensive, but they got snipers, they got satchels, and they really are going to have to carry this opener here, because Terrius Para are not going to be doing anything. But even if the Terrius Para fail, fortunately, Darkneutron has the signature British Gazelle Swarm with the 12 little Sneb rockets, which are a small batch of accurate rockets, which might actually be able to deal with the Spetsnaz GRU, even though they're already preparing to shoot them down.
Yeah, and they get them, but the Mi-24 here doing a similar amount of work on the other side. MiG-23 here being run into the Gazelles is an interesting choice here, but the Mi-24V with the Kokon missiles here, taking out the scimitars, that is the bigger issue, as there is no anti-helicopter. And no! Oh my goodness! The MiG-23 wins against the Tornado. Oh, that is a disaster for Darkneutron. The exact opposite to what happened last game, though the MiG-23 of the 56, it has better missiles and better ECM than what you get in 7th Panzer, but still, the Tornado is supposed to be the superior plane. So losing that matchup is still really, really painful here. Like losing it completely, losing the plane and not even getting the kill on the other side, not even really getting any damage out there. So Darkneutron messing that up, maybe with a bit of mismicro. I didn't quite follow the fight, but that is really, really bad, because now you have to deal with the Mi-24 with javelins, and javelins are not known as good manpads.
Yeah, javelins are not... they are technically guided missiles, which means that they're not fire and forget. So if the enemy can escape after the missile has been launched, the missile blocks the line of sight or something, then the missile will miss. But with excellent luck here, Mi-24V rocket does go down, and the javelin is actually upvetted into elite. The Terrius Para, pretty useless, constantly stunned down, and in the middle, the T-62 MD has moved in to support the middle fight here, and most likely Scuff is going to win the battle over the Citadel. Chieftain Mark 9s trying to intervene from the side, but with the Conquerors both in the BMPs and on the ground, that's a little bit too much for those slow and not really that well armored tanks to deal with. They get 2-shotted by Conquerors and Bastion missiles alike, I believe. Yeah. Not by Bastion. They get 3-shotted by Bastions, but anyways.
The AGS here fighting off the Terriers. Good hold now in the north for Scuff. And that is going to be the annoying thing here for the first UK. But if you stabilize the front line now, that is still okay. You still have the heavier tanks, and you still can overwhelm 56 with that in the later stages. But you have to stabilize the front line for that, and currently the front line is not looking all that stable. The infantry is down to 1 damaged Terrier Power right now. That's the only normal infantry unit remaining on the battlefield right now. We have a Challenger Mark II coming in. One of the chieftains gone down already, though. Scimitar in the south, relatively useless there. The Milan 2 up in the north, down to 1 missile, and is getting overrun here by Recon and the BMP2 unit running around there as well. Opening up fire now with its autocannon, as the Milan 2 is at least getting into the building. Trying to retaliate now, but likely gets out-microed there by Scuff in a second. The Meddler here with the rockets. Yeah, getting on top of this and will get the kill there. So this is looking pretty precarious right now for Darkneutron. Oh no, even the Chinook helicopter flying into the Stinger is getting out of range at least. So the Chieftain Mark 9 could maybe fall back to it and get repaired there, but the front line is fragile, and Darkneutron really needs to find a way of stabilizing this whole shebang, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I mean, Darkneutron's on the paper, the plan is to try to scale, try to get heavier stuff than what 56th has. And when it comes to scaling, you know, M109 artillery coming out, Challenger Mark II, which is the second heaviest tank, but basically the heaviest tank needed in this matchup. But the problem is that 56 is the division that can just keep coming. Like you have to. They have so much sustain. They have so much capacity, and they can buy their gooch. They can follow their good and strong aggro opener with just waves and waves of units that are just slightly better than the average, and then mixed up with some really good supporting units. And some helicopters, bombers are not the most amazing for 56th, but just their core units. They have Okrana to do kind of infantry spam. They have the BMP2s out in numbers. They have so many fast fire support vehicles, the Metlas, the BTRs, and they can pretty easily and quickly build massive walls of ATGMs. And even if the challengers can and the artillery can deal with every single one of those ATGMs, they're also going to have to deal with a bunch of MiG-27s, which, with the 30 penetrations, do 12 damage to the front armor of the challenger, which is not a full kill. That would be 14 damage, but still, it's pretty close to a full kill.
Yeah, they get the chieftain here now. So another important little kill here, allowing those units in the south now to move in with a bit less tank fire on them. And the HE output of the British tank already isn't the best, so you usually want to have them in numbers. Tornado gets the MiG-23 here and tries to get the kill on the MiG-27 even now. Has to be careful on the way out, but the ground-based AA, not the best. That's a big weakness of 56. That is a big reason why that early air loss there of the Tornado was pretty painful. If it would have won against MiG-23, then you could have maybe started bringing out your own Tornado bombers in high numbers here and already be a real big pain in Scuff's game plan here, but that didn't happen. Instead, the siege is now on Darkneutron's southern forces here. The Challenger trying to get some kills here, finds a BMP2, but is now under fire by some Conquerors, so needs to be careful there. And the infantry of Scuff is in a good position now.
Yeah. Do you know what the name of that MiG-23 pilot was that got the kill early on?
No.
Lucky. So Felix, which is Latin for lucky.
Okay. Interesting. Felix as a last name. That's an interesting choice.
Yep.
And scouts here falling back. Chieftain Mark 9 getting involved against the Conquerors, but you can see the damage output of those guns is okay, but not amazing. The M109 does help out, but the Chieftain still gets hit by the missile and gets one-shot killed. Oh no. That Chieftain is still going down. Really unfortunate there. SAS Patrol now desperately having to go into the infantry fight as the Challenger tries to keep the damage up here, pushing one Dejan Nikki with RPG-7. But the Okrana gets in, the Spetsnaz GRU does get in, the SAS Patrol, they have decent damage output. Oh no! Side shot with the MiG-27K! The devastation does continue here, the front line of Darkneutron falling apart. His Tornado is trying to retaliate, but does not get the kill, and is flying over quite a bit of AA here. Stingers getting some shots, and GG is called here. That game just didn't go well for Darkneutron's opener, and Scuff here with the 56 does come out ahead. GGVP, Scuff getting the 2-0 victory.
Yes, and just to intervene in the chat right now, the Mujahideen are not the same thing as the Taliban, but the Taliban government was built from the Mujahideen. So not every Taliban, every Taliban was Mujahideen, not every Mujahideen was Taliban, and nowadays the people who are Taliban have nothing to do with the original Mujahideen because all of those people died, and then the next guys were born out of the tragedy of the war that killed the first guys. Just to make this clear to everybody.
Yeah. And we got some interesting kills here, and also, current Mujahideens fighting Talibans in the northern Afghanistan still. So currently they're more against each other. So yeah.
Looking at the calendar, it's the year 2000.
Yeah, and Mujahideen
and Taliban fighting.
Osama was supporting the Mujahideen as a recruiter, and then he founded Al Qaeda later. And in the time frame we're here in right now, he already has founded Al Qaeda, so he's not part of the Mujahideen supporters anymore. In
and about 15 years after this game's events, a British court will find out legally that there is no such thing as Al Qaeda. Fun fact.
And yeah, Me24 here really did a good job in the early stages. That got Scuff ahead quite a good bit, and in the end, the luck was not on Darkneutron's side here in this game, but also the game plan was a bit flawed in the execution, as you pointed out. The Terrier power is not coming with veterancy, and a couple of the choices of the units in the south also not quite as well executed as they should have been. And then that whole game did fall apart. That tornado getting shut down, obviously one of the biggest moments in this game. And in the end, well played here by Scuff, gets the 2-0 lead, and we got a first quick series here. Let's move on to the next series of the day, being Snowwolfie versus Pasta La Vista. So we return to the second series of the day, and we have Pasta La Vista versus Snowwolfie coming up on Airport and Albion Duel. So 2 airport maps coming around for us here. And we have 2 really hot matchups here coming around as well, as we have 5th Blindé versus 16th Panzer Division. And then we have Snowwolfie rolling the dice there with 76 VDV versus 2nd Panzer Grenadier on Albion Duel. And obviously 76 VDV is the Albion Duel division, so that is going to be hot as well. That's the division that is in the Eugen Law going full-on suicide onto the French nuclear silos. So this is going to be interesting here. And yeah, we have Pasta and Snowwolfie here coming in with some hot little action as well. 5th Blindé here on the left side for Pasta, being a quite light tank division, and the Panzer division of the Belgium kind of being the same. Similar level of tanks and similar level of mechanization. A bit of a forward deployment advantage for the Belgians, but a bit of a combined arms advantage for the French. So this should be interesting.
Yes, excuse me. This is, I mean, 5th Blindé is trying to counter 16th Belgian. And when it comes to countering divisions such as 5th Blindé and 16th Belgian, the rule of thumb that I have promoted is that that your best option is something just slightly heavier than what the enemy has. So if the enemy is relying on Leopard 1s or AMX-30s, you want to get something like a T-64 or even a base level M1 Abrams out there, or a Leopard 2 to have the, you know, that when the chips fall down, your stuff is going to last and your stuff is going to be overpowered compared to theirs. But in this matchup, and with Pasta taking this 5th Blindé counter pick, neither division really has the decisive technological edge. Both of them have relatively strong infantry, with the Belgian infantry specializing in anti-infantry and the French specializing in anti-tank. The French don't really have that many autocannons, even though they can bring them out, but compensate for that by having a great opener with the AMX-10s and even their standard recon are brought out with 50 cal trucks, which is a nice little bonus early on.
The autocannons being put into their tanks, meaning that the MX-30 can delete infantry as well, just like the little Gazelle cannons here that can be pretty annoying for the Belgians as well.
As I was saying, but the thing is, those AMX-30s do cost a little bit extra, and when they're going against the Leopard 1A5 BEs, which have increased accuracy and are slightly cheaper, that's not really the decisive advantage that that Pasta would probably like. Both divisions have great ATGMs, with the French having way more high-tech, expensive ATGMs, which are of course effective, but can be inefficient against the cheaper mech of the Belgians. And I would say that despite all of this, the Belgians do kind of need to be aggroing here. And because they want to force those infantry fights early on, the French have better artillery, the French have helicopters, the French have way better anti-air, and the French also have quite a decent air tab, and I think all of those mean that the French will scale better in this game, so they are safe and confident in playing slower. Now the thing is, this is Pasta La Vista we're talking about. Do we trust Pasta in playing slow and careful to achieve a marginal advantage or even a minor advantage? I don't think we do.
Yeah, and the VLR8 moving around. As the MX-10s rolling in here for the action. The Leo 1 plop here is going to be the interesting part of this early stage, together with the Gazelle Cannons. The Gazelle Cannons can ruin Snowwolfie's opener. The Leo 1s can ruin the whole center line of Pasta La Vista. So this should be interesting. As Milan 1 is moving around. Eclairs moving in here. Reservists coming in to the south as well. Here's RGVP. Get unloaded, but everything will open up fire on them immediately here. The Belgian Special Forces recon with the GSR not long in this, but the Mistral already coming out here should be dealing with the Gazelle Cannons relatively efficiently. The best man-pads team in the game with 60% accuracy, amazing anti-helicopter range, so the Gazelle Cannons in trouble here. But they are not meant to survive for long. They're here to annoy the enemy opener, and they get the ESR before dying. So in the end, an okay trade here for both sides. Pasta gets the space in the north, but that's not what Snowwolfie is after. Snowwolfie is after a big success with the central push.
Yeah, the VLRA 50 is opening fire on long range at the 8-man Belgian Eclaireur squads, which are kind of screening for the mechanized force. And the fact that there are only 50 cals shooting right now, and the one ATGM has revealed itself just right now, means that Snowwolfie's attack is in a pretty decent corner with the excellent, exceptional recon optics, recon vehicle, 3 Leopard 1A5s, and a Gepard. This is more than enough firepower to beat everything in the opener here. Milan 1 has not gotten any kills. Still has not gotten any kills.
Gets a good hit. Jaguar HE here coming in, but runs into an F-16. That's an interesting choice. The Roland's able to fire, but those are Roland 2s. They get the kill nonetheless, though. So that's a good little success story there for Pasta. Pasta with some pressure in the north. Does lose some VABs in the middle, pushing a bit deeper, checking out if there's any defense on Alpha. It will lose Foxtrot, obviously, here, but that's okay, as Zulu likely will fall to Pasta at the same time. The MX-10's also rotating around nicely together with the MX-30 from the north. So the fight around Echo still going on. A really, really hot little fight here. More MX-30s running in. And good decisive action from both sides. Like, if your opponent is doing a decisive move like the 1-2 Foxtrot, you have to do something similar like Pasta did here in the north with Zulu. Plus, the rotation here done pretty nicely as well. I liked the VAB move as well. It did work out here, but if Snowwolfie would have underinvested in Alpha, that can be a really punishing move as well. Ooh, Mirages with cluster bombs coming out here for the Roland 2s. Coming in for the Eclairs in the middle as well. Mirage does get the kill against the Roland 2 with the longer aim time without being radar AA. They didn't get the missile out in time. That's why Roland 3s are a lot more effective in matchups like this. They have more range and they have the quicker aim time, but that didn't quite work out here. MX-30 B2 goes down as well, but the CV Humvee goes down at the same time. So pick here is not going to go up here for Snowwolfie. The P4 in the south gets figured out by the APVer. The whole shebang is moving down there as well. So both sides here taking important casualties. But yeah, Pasta at least stopped the tick for now.
Yeah, so Pasta's 60-point infantry finally destroys Snowwolfie's 40-point infantry, the Mech Fusilier up north. But Pasta has been taking a lot of critical losses early on. AMX-30s have been taken out. The Milan vehicle of Snowwolfie, the 50 cal Milan vehicle, has up-vetted itself into 2 in the Vet 1 and now Vet 2 also, with only 3 missiles. That is how excellent the shots have been. When I referenced the Belgians are the more aggressive division here, one of the reasons is that units such as the Epervier, the drone, slow little droney thingy scouting for the mechanized force here, is going to be obsolete later on in the game when the enemy has a proper network of anti-air up. But right now, it can easily just secure so much ground and make sure that the mech force can move without suffering useless losses. The Leopard 1A5s working together with the Recon were a great counter against the AMX-10s. AMX-10s being hard countered by Leopard 1A5 specifically. And so far, also the Mirages, the Mirage 5s, even the cheap rocket variants have 30 ECM, which is pretty nice if you're going to rely on them early on to do damage. And as this Mirage safely goes and destroys one of the AMX-30s, once again forcing another AMX-30 buy for Pasta La Vista.
Yeah. Good success here for Snowwolfie in the south as well. Pasta's units that tried to get a defensive lineup there don't succeed. AMX-10 RC gets found in the forest by the Leos, gets taken out there as well. Gazelle Hot here in a bit of trouble as well with a Gepard 2 around there too. So this situation in itself not developing that well for our player in blue, but at the same time the Zulu capture quite nice. Could threaten Alpha from there, but doesn't quite have the infantry movement here right now to do so. The Air Force of Snowwolfie did take some casualties already. The rocket plane being the latest sacrifice there to the Roland 2 and the Mirage on the other side. And Pasta does want to keep on fighting for Bravo. This is an interesting choice here. 2 AMX-30Bs coming around for the south. I would have expected him rotating more, even harder into the north. Maybe trying to go for Alpha, going for Echo, obviously. But Mirage Cluster here being around again. We have a Roland 3 now on the battlefield, though. And that's a way better AA piece with the higher accuracy, the higher range, the better aim time. So F-16 and Co are in danger. Jago HE here on the other side getting damaged. MX-10 RC goes down in the north. F-16, gets the Jago HE. This is really unfortunate here. Roland's not quite good enough. It will likely get shut down by the Mirage F1Cs here. Yes, they get the kill there. Can they retaliate against the Mirage 5BA cluster as well? They are out of missiles already. They don't have the best missiles. French air-to-air missiles really the big weak spot of their planes. And the Roland 3 not able to get the kill here either, or with still no good trades for Pasta here lately.
Yeah, it's the Pasta's real strength here is the fact that there are commandos on Echo. The problem is that Snowwolfie has basically everything else here. Snowwolfie is the AMX-30s are going to move in unsupported, with no recon, with no anti-air, and they are going to attack basic. Okay, so now Pasta is finally ordering the Eclairers. The AIFV is going to open fire and no, it's actually doing amazing damage. Oh! And Snowwolfie micros it away. Oh, the 25mm Bushmaster cannon. No, the Orlicon cannon. The Orlicon and the Bushmaster cannon have the same stats. Okay, we will mix them up. There is a blindicide infantry unit in the middle here. There's a bunch of 25mm. There's a great recon.
Oh, it might even get it again. It's opening up fire. It stopped moving now, but now the MXs show their front armor. No, they don't! Oh, it gets the kill! As they move with the auto cover. Oh, it showed side armor and it gets killed by an AFVB. Oh, Pasta never lucky in this one so far, as the MX-30B2s get shut down. One gets shut down, and now the other one is pushing towards the Eclair with Blindicide 83 that can take it out as well. And they get the APV there,
this is
but
a tragedy.
that MX-30B2
This is a tragedy of the maximum scale.
Is it really bad luck if you're just buying 2 tanks and driving them blindly into the area the enemy conquered? Really, like at this point, this is I mean, those AMX-30s were just a bad play from Pasta, and Pasta kind of admits it by following it up with the Eclairers, who should have actually been leading the front. If the Eclairers were moving out there and walking up those tree lines, you can see those tree lines. They are designed for this. You can just right-click your units to move, and they would have spotted everything, and the AMXs would have been a huge problem, and then they could have fought on long range against the Leopard 1 BEs, which are slightly worse than the AMX-30s. So just straight up a misplay from Pasta. And meanwhile, Pasta's infantry, the Milan has now been resupplied. The leader has moved into the middle, and the commandos are fighting against weak reservist units. So Snowwolfie not really having units right there to counter this, but also Pasta barely has any units to exploit this. In a moment, Wolfie is going to have 2 more tanks out there in the Echo, which will be enough to drive the commandos out. And with the double M109 scaling coming, the hard scaling coming, double artillery, self-propelled guns, knowing that Pasta has lost a lot of stuff, knowing that Snowwolfie has an excellent advantage in recon and just the amount of space controlled.
MX-30 here on a dangerous mission in the south as well. If you bring around a plane, an attack craft with this, that could work out, but we already saw Jaguar HE going down earlier. That lost a really brutal one on a map like Airport, where aircraft are so powerful. Meanwhile, yeah, the commandos are in trouble, and yes, the scaling is on, so Pasta needs some successes in the near future if Pasta wants to stay in this game.
Yeah, this is Pasta's investment into the aircraft is, once again, we have the artillery investment versus the air investment. Mirage F1s are pretty cheap and they're really fast, and I like them, and I like the fact that they're in the Guzman Bueno division as well. But with the Jaguar going down to that F-16, and the fact that Snowwolfie has been able to bring a pretty decent front line of Gepards and Mistrals, when Gepards and Mistrals are the only stuff that they can bring out. The fact that Pasta has not been able to play the airplay while having the better anti-air is just kind of speaks to the strength of Wolfie's opener and Wolfie's choices here. Now 2 Mirage clusters coming in, diving the Roland 3.
Yeah, it gets a hit here, but the Mirages are not around to follow it up. Good kill there, gets an MX-30B2 as well. The Roland 3 in the north, too far away to help out, so the Mirages both will get out. Really good airplay here with a division that is not actually that good at airplay, because it doesn't have a good fighter. The F-16 of the Belgians is the worst F-16 in the game, and actually a pretty terrible fighter in general, with 20% ECM and terrible missiles with the AIM-9Ps, and it doesn't have long-range AA to support your bombers either, so you have really a couple of unfortunate misses with the Rolands as well, but also a bit of a misplay with the movement of the Rolands through the open time and again, so that the enemy knows where they are and can bomb them easily. Like, that's one of the ways of getting rid of them quite often. And yeah, Roland 2's here now, getting an Epivir. The M109's trying to retaliate. But Pasta needs to figure out how to get a couple of good trades here ASAP. Otherwise, this game will just snowball out of control within the next 3-4 minutes.
Ooh. Leopard 1 gets saved by those little buildings between them and the Milan 1. Reservistas could really just walk up and destroy the P4, but they're still playing safely. Wolfie is still behind, +1 tick. Another of Pasta's forces gets ambushed by a Leopard 1's and Eclaireurs, but this time with good recon, they're able to open fire, destroy those enemy forces. I believe the commandos were... oh no, they're actually... They were, but they did not fire their AT rocket launcher, despite being in range. So finally, Pasta manages to clean up a pocket of Belgian defenses. And the Belgians, though, have a bunch more defenses all around the place. This is clearly designed to slow down Pasta and force Pasta into this wide front line of bad engagements. And which is kind of makes me feel like challenging this as Pasta may not be the best choice. Like, now that a little bit of a wedge has been pushed into the defenses, following up with more commandos and more Eclaireurs and more AMX-30s could maybe work out. But if you look at Pasta's forces with the tank reinforcements, what does this look like? It is a concave. It is immediately a concave. And now it's another wide front line where the Eclaireurs are going to have to walk up. They're going to have to be shot at. The enemy is going to have time putting up even more ATGMs. As we can see, three more ATGMs coming in, both Milans and TOW2s. So Pasta is it's gonna be maybe beneficial for Pasta to play this more aggressively, giving Wolfie the option of moving the forces down south and striking them while they are out of the forest.
Yeah, the MX-30s here now rolling in, getting into range to fire on some infantry here, and the commandos here outclassing the Belgian infantry on the front line. Mercip coming around, hitting an empty spot though, and the Rolands do retaliate, do get the kill this time around, so that's a great one. Good kill there on the Mercip. Roland's finally doing the job. Another Mirage cluster though coming around. Separation here going on between the MX-30s. It hits the one on the front, and it does take the right turn here, turning away from the Rolands in the north. The Roland 3 got a shot out, but no hit there. So the Mirage clusters stay alive and stay annoying here against Pasta La Vista, as another AMX-30 does bite the dust. AMX-30s at least are decently replaceable, but obviously losing that many to the enemy cluster bombers is still quite annoying.
Yeah, the commandos here are in their core element in close ranges. They get the shock trait. They also just are a large squad, so they're good at it. And the mech Fusiliers could fight them off on longer ranges where the machine guns matter, but on close quarters, there is a minimum range with those machine guns. Now, artillery, Snowwolfie's artillery here has not been countered by Pasta anyways, and AMX-30s are only vulnerable to artillery when they're standing still, and of course they're not doing that too much, but they're also extremely vulnerable to ATGMs, all ATGMs. You have an ATGM, AMX-30 is vulnerable to it.
Yeah, commandos moving in close though, getting the retaliation on the pretty expensive Humvees there as well. So commandos doing a good job. Mirage F5 cluster doing a good job there, killing off the next CV. Good CV sniping in general going on here by Pasta so far. That's already the third or fourth going down, so that might be a way to victory here as well. The Roland 3 taking a really risky route there in the southern part. If Snowwolfie spots that, they could react and try to get that Roland 3 killed off. Commandos under fire by the M109, that's quite annoying as well. They go down in the building, but it seems like Pasta slowly gets the sky back. And with the Rolands, the Mistrals, the Mirages now, he's in a good spot, has the cluster bombers, and the Belgians suck at dealing with that. High altitude cluster bombers are the bane of their existence because Gepards are not quite good enough at shooting them down. Mistrals often don't quite get a shot out either. So this might be troubled times now for Snowwolfie. Pasta still might be able to swing this around as the tick has stopped.
Yeah, and this is Pasta now, especially with these recent trades and these positions. The position to attack Foxtrot, the position to hold Echo, both of these are quite powerful. But Snowwolfie has kind of an ace in his sleeve, which is this self-contained battle group down south-southwest, where they still have their AA, they still have their recon, and they still have their 3 combat vehicles. And that force could right now just move further up north. They wouldn't actually get spotted, but even, of course, Snowwolfie doesn't know that. And they could destroy basically the entire push for some time now. And they could do that in the future as well. I'm not sure how well Pasta is informed about the existence of this force.
Oh no, Pasta overextending with the Mirage F1Cs, losing both of them here. The Roland 3s trying to retaliate, not getting the kill on the Mirage clusters. The Mirage clusters get pushed back, but losing both Mirages for that, just to push them back. That's not worthwhile, not even killing a single one of them. Oh, the Gepards did eat good there. Yes, Gepards are absolute beasts if you fly directly over them, especially with one vet here. So, a big mistake there by Pasta, being a bit too greedy there with the air fights, and once more being let down by the really, really terrible French air-to-air missiles. And those high speed planes just getting shut down nonetheless. The push in the middle here for Pasta still has some momentum now. The Humvee CP gets the capture for Snowwolfie, but the momentum is on Pasta's side there right now. AMX-30B2 getting into engagement range there, but HGM's flying already. Smoke comes out in time. Humvee not hitting there either. VLRA with the 50 cal coming around against the Milan 1. Apilas Grenadier Voltigeurs pushing forward. AMX-30B2 assisting here as well. Interesting little combat, and yeah, a bit of a weird choice of Snowwolfie to not use the Southern Forces at all so far.
Yeah, I mean, Wolfie was obviously floating a little bit of points considering the number of reinforcements that we have here. But frankly, Belgians are kind of a floating friendly division because your attacks are always going to look the same. They're always going to be Leopard 1s, they're going to be infantry, mech infantry, and they're going to be Gepards. So that's what we're getting, and we're getting that in spades.
Yeah, Gepards getting pushed back. F-16A here once more getting quite far, but getting shut down on the way out by the Roland 3s. There are 3 Roland 3s now with a Roland 2 and a Mistral out. Another Mistral coming around to deal with those EPVers. The Roland 2 and the Mistral can aim at them quite easily and have good accuracy against them. Commandos getting pushed back, but Gepards go down, and the Apprentices keep up the pressure, so bit of a troubled time here for Snowwolfie, but with the reinforcements, this should still come in order. Unlike Steiner's counterattack, the reinforcements for Snowwolfie are real, and that should do a good amount at stopping Pasta's aggression here and getting the momentum back into the Belgians' favor.
Yeah, and I think the reason why Wolfie's battle group down south is not moving is because they are defending Bravo. Pasta's failed attacks into Bravo kind of forced Wolfie to consider that this could also start happening again. And also, I don't think it's too nonsensical to imagine that the enemy does have ATGMs covering the area. But yeah, it would be great for Wolfie to just use those, especially considering they do get pretty decent. They're not looking at any of the reinforcement roads, which they could be if they just move a few hundred meters up north.
Yeah, both MX-30s get shut down here. Leopard 1 BEs getting good kills here, and the French line is collapsing here now. Pasta maybe overextended a bit. Now has no ATGMs here to assist against the Leo 1s, and Snowwolfie here now can use those German light cats to push on and get the Belgian Leopard 1 push here right into the AA of Pasta La Vista here. EPVR should scout that there is relatively little now. There are still a couple of MX-30s rotating around, but the lack of ATGMs for Pasta right now is really, really bad. Because that's usually what gets you time, what zones out the enemy Leopards. The MX-30s, as you pointed out earlier, not cost efficient in this fight, so this is going to be an issue.
Yeah, Pasta finally bringing out artillery, and the artillery is firing at the little hut behind which the Luxembourgian command point currently stands. But oh no, the Leopards are moving in. They're taking shots against the Rolands. Even with I think they're realizing there is no ATGMs. Those towers, all of those buildings, the control tower, none of them are actually being used in what they're supposed to. And now Milan 1 being bought and being brought in as well. But it could actually be late if the Leopard 1s get the shot off.
The AMX 30s could flank around. One of them gets a good side shot there. Does get a hit. Milan 1 is coming around. Next Roland 3 here might be in trouble, but the Leos do get stopped here. One AMX 30 Predators does go down in the south though, as the Leopard 1s have arrived there, and the 2 ones from the south now moving around for the flanking move as well. The Mercip in trouble, but does survive, and the Pasta La Vista push towards Foxtrot was for sure a bit too much. That just gets completely wiped out right now. In the north, the trades are a bit more equal. Leopard 1's going down there as well, but Grandier Voltige is just being eaten up when Pasta La Vista is already behind in trades from the earlier stages of this game. That is not looking good right now. The MX-30 is running into Tow 2 range here as well. Another good kill there. The lack of ATGMs here on the side of Pasta, pretty brutal, but the ATGMs of Snowwolfie here still in really good spots.
Yeah, the really, really big issue for Pasta was the complete loss of the southeast attack, or the middle attack. The attack on Foxtrot was pretty hard fought, and there was a bunch of tanks there, there were a bunch of commandos, but they just didn't attack when the time was right. Snowwolfie's massed reinforcements were capable of coming in here, and now Wolfie has a second angle to defend this. And this basically means that that any ATGMs and even the Leopard 1s can just apply fire control and take out the enemy leader when it moves into Echo. And there's a Gazelle Hot pretty far away, not taking any pot shots now, but that's the only ATGM really preventing the Belgian from just trying to push through the runway.
Yeah, MX-30 trying to move on, but the artillery here finding another one. So the MX-30 numbers here do start to dwindle. You get a couple more tanks as 15th data, and you get at 16th, but the trades here so far in the tank fights have been all going Snowwolfie's way, and we have another couple of Mirages here coming around, and the Roland 3 number being a bit lower here now. The Mirage 1 FCs all being down as well. We have the MX Alpha 1 on the other side, but Pasta still a good bit behind here. Now trying to run 2 more VABs into Foxtrot, but the lack of focus here on Pasta's moves after the early trades, I feel like is letting Pasta down. They should have focused more on specific parts of the map instead of trying to play the wide game, which the Belgians are just a good bit more cost efficient about.
Yeah, the Belgians can send their stripped down infantry fighting vehicles and their stripped down Leopard or main battle tanks with their infantry who compensate for having garbage AT with having just extra machine guns compared to every other nation. They can pull that stuff out pretty cheaply, and they have to play like that because they cannot scale. They don't have that points sink of anything really that could carry them in the late game. So Belgian Mirages, diving Rolands, not dropping their bombs even, but still kind of. I would take that as a relative success of just showing the Belgian air might against the French AA right now. The French are being held by Milan ones, but behind them, had the Belgian artillery not run out of ammunition, those Milans would probably have been gone already.
Yeah, artillery coming in for the Milan 2 now as well. The AMX of 1 still doing a good job. The Mirage F5, 5Fs of Pasta getting another Gepard earlier, meaning that the lack of AA here on the side of Snowwolfie is getting quite real as well. But Snowwolfie is compensating, bringing around the Mistral teams now, and a new Gepard on the way there as well. Well, the infantry of Pasta actually survives in the south. The CV doesn't, though. Ooh, gets shut down there by the Milan 2. And the MX-30B2 has to be careful there once more. The Humvee tow is running around. Gradient Voltigeurs get shut down as well. And with the 600 point leads here, Pasta now needs to start to get a tick relatively soon. They would be a push towards Alpha. Alpha is still really lightly defended, but there is not quite enough here for Pasta on the front line just yet. 4 more AMX-30s on the way, a couple more infantry units. A push towards Alpha actually could work out, but you would need maybe a plane or so coming in with a great timing to assist here. MXR1 doing 1 or 2 more kills on important ATGM positions, is trying right now on a Milan 2, and then come around with a good attack. The Mirage here getting rockets out, but not really achieving much with it. Roland 3s finally get the kill there. The AV1 finally gets the Milan 2 as well. So there is still a bit of hope for Pasta, but it needs some really decisive actions right now and some pretty good trades as well.
Yeah, it's the... Importantly here, Pasta's only recon are the Dragon Paras. They are both in good positions, both the south and north and southwest. But if the artillery of Wolfie became a little bit more aggressive, those units could maybe be taken out. And then literally after those units, there is no recon left for Pasta. So all of this is it's a vaankielellä. It's tenuous. There is not a lot of redundancy here, and also the fact that these are Dragon Paras, they're infantry. If the tanks are actually going to push forward, if they actually manage to get a big success, there is no way those Dragon Paras are going to spot the second line of defenses, which is probably going to be, your Leopard 1s and Milans and all of them. And this is basically means that the AMX-30s can push only a little bit further. They cannot actually get to the east corner of Echo without debuffing themselves significantly.
Yeah, they're getting a good amount of kills here, though. Good smoke micro here on the side of Pasta lately. And now enough fire support at once to shoot down AMX Leos and shoot down all the ATGM teams. Another Leo 1BE goes down here. So the AMX-30 ball actually is doing good progress, but I feel like it's going the wrong direction. You need more than a +2 at this stage as Pasta. So I would argue Alpha is the better point to go to than trying to push down to Foxtrot here. But the Brennus ball is real. I'm surprised we didn't see more strike aircraft lately out of Pasta La Vista, but the Brennus ball here is continuing forward. Has to be careful with any infantry that can come around, though. The Mercep here coming around, getting decent damage, but not quite the kill. Gets shut down, so won't come around another time. But there goes the first MX-30 with a side shot from a Milan 2. And that's the problem you were pointing out. The line of sight situation here is not great. AFV once more getting decent damage against an MX-30 even. Cluster Bomber coming around for the Layer 1 A5. Does not quite get the kill there. Brennus now will try to finish the job. Oh, the AFV gets another round against an MX-30B2 though. The second one getting killed off by the Ehrlichen autocannon here. Snowwolfie with some clutch kills. Apila's unit moving forward. And the CV in the middle for Pasta went down. Pasta has another MX-30B2 with PC coming around, the French leader tank here. But the kill of the AFV with the Ehrlichen really, really clutch, as there's another Leo 1BE down there in the south as well. Another one further south with a Humvee tow that absolutely should rotate north right now. Snowwolfie doesn't want to lose Foxtrot here. But Pasta playing for dear life, really trying to get the damage out. Does lose another tank there to the ATGMs. And yeah, I still feel it's not quite enough here, but a good effort out of our player in blue here.
Yeah, it's the AMX-30s are they're using their speed so well, but they just don't really have the recon and the infantry support necessary for these to become actual ground takeover. The AMX-30 is going to lead into, or theoretically, unless it gets taken out by the cluster plane, is going to lead into a +2, which at 7 minutes means 7 times 8. Oh, they always had a problem with that one. I don't think this is going to be a Pasta victory here. There is Wolfie has a leader in the front line here. Wolfie has reinforcements coming in. Reinforcement for Pasta are, well, leaders and infantry. But the inherent weakness of Pasta, I think we have seen here, is just that Pasta doesn't seem to have the patience to wait for the combined arms.
Oh, Pasta doesn't even capture Foxtrot. Pasta doesn't even get the +2 right now. It is moving towards Bravo, but Bravo has a Humvee 2 defending it. Oh, Pasta leaving the points there on the board and can't afford losing those points. Oh, the cap not quite done. And the Leo 1B in the center can move back in. The kill on the enemy infantry CV there means that Echo is open for assault as well. Good smoke there off Pasta and the south, but the Humvee TOW gets back into cover, is not spotted right now, so it can fire another TOW 2 on this poor little AMX-30B2, and it just blows them out on the field there. And the 1A5BE gets back into the center position here as well. Captures Echo, gets taken out, leaves it uncaptured actually, but the next one already on the way here. Pasta moving in another commandeer, but Alpha was the point to take. Foxtrot is not quite it. Pasta had enough forces to do so. Did really play a really solid late game, but a couple of the trades in the early game just leaving them lacking behind here, and trying to play it wide against the Belgians, never a good idea.
Yeah, the Belgian ability to just eternally just keep on resupplying their tanks just paid off very well here. The Leopards have stabilizers, so they can fire on the move, whereas the AMX-30s don't. AMX-30s have way better speed, but you know, can't fire on the move. And in the end, those tanks are basically equivalent. It's about how you bring them out. And Snowwolfie started out very, very strongly on a excellently coordinated combined arms attack, which was so good that for the early mid game, Pasta just didn't really have any counters and just traded relatively badly in 1-to-1 and send in attacks, tanks unsupported, units without enough combined arms to actually turn them into anything. And despite this, in the end, Pasta managed to like micro and control and just keep on hammering at the enemy front line. But yeah, it was pretty clear. I think it was pretty clear that the Belgians were going to win this by just looking at the reinforcements. Even when Snowwolfie was floating a lot of points, when those points actually came out on the board, it was never just an independent or a lone group of 3 tanks that could be ambushed. No, there was always a mix. There was always the framework in which the tanks could succeed.
Yeah. Really well done job here in the end by Snowwolfie, playing the Belgians like they are meant to be played. Roll on 2s and 3s, letting Pasta down a bit in the airplay, but also overextending with the Mirages there and a couple of other moments there, leaving him vulnerable, and then overextending in the width of the fight against a just slightly more efficient division. Always a bit of a problem on airport, so deserved victory here in the end, nonetheless, by Snowwolfie, but a close fight, and I'm pretty excited for the next one as well. So quick break, and then we're gonna see Albion with 76 for Snowwolfie. So this should be a lot of fun. And hey, Cam Warrior, thanks for the gifted sub to Panzer here. To old school viewers of the channel here coming out there. So thanks to both of you here for being around, and thanks for the gifted sub. And yeah, see you all after a quick break with game number 2. And here we are on Albion, a map that is not being played that much yet in this tournament, but it's a pretty interesting one. It is a pretty brutal one. It is a map with a lot of zones that are close to each other, with one zone that is pretty center here, and once whoever wins the fight in the northern town has a big advantage, because getting back into that is tough. But at the same time, the 2 pointers in the south mean that the Bravo and Foxtrot area here is worth a lot. The actual part of this map that the 76 is all about are these spaces, though, because that's the French nuclear silos. It's the only map so far that is not located in Germany, making it quite unique. It even has some lavender fields and so on. So a pretty awesome looking map in general, and a pretty fun one to play in my eyes as well. I know a lot of players aren't the biggest fan of it though, and it's going to be interesting to see how this specific matchup will play out on it.
People whine about every new map, but I like this. I personally think it's a nice balance. It's a simple map. It's not like perfectly symmetrical, which is good because I have grown to really just dislike perfectly symmetrical maps. I believe they are way too predictable. And as you said, on this this matchup, second Panzergrenadier is going to rush into against the 76th Воздушно-десантная дивизия. Гвардия воздушно-десантная дивизия. And this basically is going to see a rare Fallschirmjäger heavy opener with Fallschirmjäger MG3s, standard FS Jägers, and the Fallschirmpala Milans, all of them coming out in force. And this would be, and traditionally is considered to be a pretty inefficient way of using your resources as a second Panzergrenadier player. But if you, when you look at 76th is maybe the rushiest of airborne divisions because they don't get any helicopters, and their air tab is kind of specific. They only have high altitude, long range aircraft. So being able to contest the enemy early on and transition into a mech fight with the Leopard 1s could be absolutely devastating to 76th. The way 76th wants to play this is to have a very strong infantry opener. Spetsgruppa V gonna go out there. Desantiki Metis are gonna litter every corner of the map with their short-range Metis missiles, and then wave after wave of airdropped infantry fighting vehicles with great long-range defenses. So BMD2s, BMD3s, the BRDM2 Concourses that are out there for fun, they are the weapon that actually can fight off the mech. And Pasta knows this, and Pasta cannot allow the enemy to win the opener decisively. And that, I think, is why we have the full-on Fallschirmjäger opener.
Yes. 7.6mm MGs here going into decent spots as well. The BMD3, interesting little vehicle. Only 3 frontal armor, but it has the fantastic Conqueror's M missile. It has an AGS next to the 30mm autocannon, so it has a lot of anti-infantry DPS. And ever since it got slightly buffed in its price, it's actually a pretty solid boon to the division. Before, it was just way too pricey, so you never saw the BMD3 in the recon or the tank tab coming around. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Snowwolfie plays this matchup. You have fantastic air, but this map can be shut down by Eyehawks relatively quickly as well. The front line is not all that wide, plus the tornadoes. So Pasta is just in need of getting those AA up eventually, because 76 has one of the strongest strike aircrafts in the game. An LGB bomber that can drop 3 bombs after another, all one-shotting your level 1A5s. So you need to deal with that eventually.
Yeah, and Pasta immediately following up with the mech, more Leopard 1A, 1A1s, Gepards coming out here. Like this is once again a case of you really just want to have the stuff that is heavier than your opponent by 1 or 2 degrees. So the Leopard 1A, 1A1s, underpowered in many occasions, out here absolutely will decimate their opponents. And in groups will be able to suppress and destroy the 2 health Desantiki Conquerors as well.
Fallschirmjägers here getting pretty deep there. Could maybe ambush some reinforcements later on as well. The Conquerors getting spotted here, trying to get into combat with some Unimogs here. The bad decision here, letting them shoot on empty transports on the way back. And the Leo 1A5 getting close enough now to spot the Conquerors to just clear it up. So the Spetsnaz GRU here now the next target. And good push here out of Pasta so far. But the Spetsgruppe V, the Special Forces Infantry of the of the VDV here, completely outperforming all the infantry of the West Germans, so that's a bit of an issue in those town fights. But I like Pasta's approach towards Echo and Golf here. That is a nice little way to do it. I usually would have gone around Foxtrot and Golf, but the way that Pasta chooses to take these engagements, I like it a lot. This is good decision making, and this is putting up a lot of pressure on Snowwolfie, because 76 is terrible at taking back space. It's amazing at holding spaces with the great amount of ATGMs it has. It's terrible at pushing into any space without tanks.
Yeah, I mean, Wolfie is sending the strongest frontline, the tank in 76's arsenal, the Raspetka BMD3, into the backlines where it could do a lot of damage theoretically, but every piece of damage really needs to be fighting the mechanized attack in the middle right now. The Leopard 185 does not get taken out by the Conquerors on long ranges, and this position of Echo is just especially difficult to attack, in my opinion. It is covered both against its own
LGB bomber, dropping its first out of 3 bombs on the Leopard 1 CV. Gets the kill there. Gephards does get a decent amount of damage out, but doesn't force it back home. So it can't drop a second bomb here. And that is highly annoying, as Leo 185 does go down to the ground forces here. And here comes the SU-24 with the second laser-guided bomb onto the Fallschirmjägers. Gets a good kill there as well. Takes them out. Will get pushed back now by the Gepard, but won't get killed. Meltron coming around next here, figuring out the center situation here quite well as well. And Pasta here is in trouble. Gepards can't engage the drone. Only infrared guided weapons can do so. The radar guided Gepard cannot. So that is a bit annoying as well, as that means you either need to use planes or you need to bring out Fliegerfaust to deal with the Schmell. And Fliegerfaust's not great against them either. So this is a bit of a nuisance here right now for our player in Blue.
Yeah, this is Pasta here is, like, as I was saying, I think Echo is a really strong position to gather on this or get, because it is easily defensible against the northern position of Delta, and it's really easy to defend against its own eastern side, so the enemy reinforcement road. And it also has a pretty long distance to the 2-point zone, but so you can defend against the 2-point zone, but also if you just get some smokes or you capture that forest where the Fallschirmjäger are right now, you can also just try contesting that 2-point zone. The absolute peak gameplay against airborne rushes here, I think, is exactly what Pasta is trying to do, which is to just contain the enemy into that one urban 1-point zone. Don't let them leave, which is they can basically leave only one way, which is via those office buildings right in the middle of those 3 positions of Alpha, Echo, and Delta. So as long as Pasta can keep some kind of a fire control around those parts, all of those Wolfie's units are going to be immobile and not being able to, and as you said, like, they are already having troubles in recapturing territory. There is 0 reinforcement roads threatened currently by Wolfie's forces, even with all of their Conquerors and Metises.
Yeah, but the BMD3s both got into the rear. The one in the south already got a Gepard. The Leopard 185 might be the next victim of a Conqueror's M missile. We have an SU-24M seat coming around. The Gepards are not turned off, so the KH-58U here, trying to get a shot on target, does fail to do so. Gepard now can get some shots out. Ihawk gets microed as well. Doesn't get the kill there just yet. Tornado fails to get hits out onto the SU-24 seat as well. So it actually does survive, barely, but it does survive. That's Leopard 185 and the Fallschirmjäger Aufklärers both about to run into Raspetka BMD3s. If these get 3-4 more kills here, that could be a big issue for Pasta La Vista as well.
Yeah, now Pasta is actually sending Panzergrenadiers to just straight up hold that area to apply a little bit of infantry pressure. On the other hand, Pasta does have a lot of fire support vehicles to do with this, and on the other hand, okay, well, now they are finally moving, finally actually trying to probably delete that Desantniki Metis unit that just revealed itself. On the other hand, like, if you look at the reinforcements all around the map, as as threatening as the Razvedka BMB3s are on the sides here, Pasta has already recognized at least one of them exists and is sending the PA 1 to deal with them. And if you look at Wolfie's reinforcements, there's none. No reinforcements coming for Wolfie. So all of those points are being most likely spent into aircraft, and points spent into, you know, your Su-24 ATs is not the greatest investment against cheap, massed, older generation mechanized vehicles.
Yeah, gets a kill on one Leo 185. Ihawk out of ammo, doesn't have reloads. Oh, the Iltis actually get captured there by Snowwolfie even. Gets a gas supply truck moving up there, but now Pasta does realize the southern engagement. MiG-31 engaging the Tornado. Tornado does get damaged, but doesn't get killed. BO-105 rotating up north now. Bejaniki Medis got shut down there, and good micro here by Pasta keeps the Leos alive. MiG-31 still around there. The lack of a supply for the Ihawk is pretty frustrating right now, but the BO-105 rotating north should at least push back the Razvedka BMD-3 until something else can come around to kill it. One in the south, still not spotted. So still a bit of a fragile position here for Pasta if the airplanes start to have more success. But for now, the Echo Point keeping up the take is still up there.
Yep, and the reinforcements of Wolfie are straight up all just defensive forces, your Concourses, even more Concourses, and some supply to resupply infantry and Concourses. This is Pasta so far just still, I feel like, has complete control over the game. And yeah, even the Desantniki Spetsnaz moving up a few meters.
Tornado diving deep here. The Su-24 LGB coming in a bit too early. The Tornado missing both missiles, running away now, as doesn't want to dive too close to the MiG-31 spawn there. The RDM-2 Conquerors gets shut down by the BO-105. The Razvedka BMD-3 hasn't been figured out just yet. Seaplane and the Su-24 HE coming around again. The Tornado does get a hit finally, but the Seed Missile still goes out, doesn't get the Gepard. Tornado doesn't find the kill. HE bombs did do good damage. Supply truck is needed there now. And the Razvedka BMD-3 still keep up the annoyance in the rear. BO-105 helicopter does get shut down trying to get closer. So really annoying situation there right now. And the center forces here need those resupplies, those reinforcements here. Both of the supply trucks that were on the front line are emptied already. And the Conquerors now start to envelop the whole situation here. And the Leo 1s are pretty fragile at this stage.
Yeah, the Razvedka BMD-3 in the background destroys the Rassids, destroys the Leopard, and still has ammunition, but probably not gonna survive against the 3 Martyrs, not when they are microed. Okay, one of them is a Fuchs also. So very cost ineffective, but still that problem has now been solved. And as I was saying earlier, even the little bit of infantry movement with the Desantniki Spetsnaz out there in the middle are just concaved by all of these vehicles.
LGB gets a double kill there. 2 Leos going down. And that means only 1 Leo right now remaining. Milan 2 goes down as well. Reinforcements of Pasta need to come in quicker now. The 2 Martyrs can move in there. More Leo 1s rotating in. Gepards rotating in. The 2 Razvedka BMD-3s really did open up a bit of a timing here for Snowwolfie now to push back in and retake this. If Snowwolfie misses this timing, this game still likely will fall to Pasta, but currently the push is continuing on here.
Yep, +1 coming in, and finally Snowwolfie is buying some offensive units, specifically this mortar, which I can only predict is going to be used in smoking capacity. And with the Desantniki Komroti leader and 2 BMD-2s with some so a little bit of fire support here for the infantry. They could be defensive also, but there is nothing to defend really for Wolfie. Some kind of a counterattack is going to be happening, or some kind of an attack is going to be happening. The mortar gets unloaded in the proper position right behind the land bank, and it is good enough range to basically smoke anything until Alpha, but not beyond that, and not towards Bravo or Charlie.
Yeah, we have Gepards coming up now. We have a lot of Leo ones coming in again here. So Pasta is starting to set up the decent assault formation here again. Martyrs with the autocannons. The 20mm of the German is the weakest autocannon in the game, but it is still an autocannon that over time will grind through all infantries with pretty decent success. The BTRD on the other side, a relatively decent anti-infantry fire support vehicle as well. It has an AGS and a PKT, so can deal with Fallschirmjägers quite well as well, and does the job there just fine. But the +1 here for Pasta, that is still the key momentum right now, and Pasta has the better late game ground forces, just needs to make sure that they don't lose too much against the aircraft. Another Su-24 plus seat combination here coming around. Su-24AT will hunt down the Gepards here and will get a shot out, will get the kill. Seat coming around here as well. Does fail to get the kill, but so does the AA. Eyehawk does miss once more. Second Eyehawk would be absolutely critical at this stage, but Pasta still needs to regain control of the front line for now. So more frontline units currently being invested into. Otters and Leopards here now finally arriving again for the fire support. Infantry in pretty low numbers here. Martyr goes down to the robot. Good micro there by Snowwolfie. Pasta still in a bit of trouble here with the combined arms.
Yeah, I mean, this is as far as Snowwolfie is getting these engagements here, especially these Panzer Grenadier forces may have been an inefficient way of using infantry, but at least Pasta has kind of kept the enemy in check, at least a little bit. But damage needs to be done, especially when it comes to the air. The Twin Gepard and single Eyehawk has just not been enough to deal with this. More Eyehawks are needed, or more Tornadoes, which Tornadoes, of course, are the worst choice because they can be taken out by MiG-31s. But though, on the other hand, the Eyehawks can be taken out by the seaplanes also.
Yeah, finally an Su-24 goes down. HE1 coming in next. Eyehawk number 2, can it find another hit here? No, it can't quite, and the Panzer Grenadiers go down. The lack of a second Eyehawk really does hurt Pasta right now. Pasta bringing in an MR10 instead right now. I don't quite feel that is what is needed here right now. Obviously, that's nice against the ATGMs, but you currently just need to make sure to not lose against the air spam of 76, so I feel like another Eyehawk and another Gepard would have been better than this 260-point investment, or maybe even just 2 Eyehawks into an MR10. Tornado trying to come around here again, but the frontline forces here down to nearly no infantry whatsoever. 2 more coming in with the Panzer Grenadier in the Martyrs, but the current anti-infantry situation there between Echo and Delta is pretty bad. MiG-31 pushing back the Tornado. Seaplane being annoying there as well. Gepard and Eyehawk being microed, but situation here, another Leopard going down, and with the ATGMs now having the frontline that you want as the defensive player on this map, I feel like Pasta needs to just get out of there. This is not a fight that you want to take without infantry pushing into the buildings there. That is not the space forward. I feel like Pasta needs to rotate south, go for Foxtrot and Golf angle, and give up the Delta Echo push for now. Still 23 minutes to play. Point lead for Pasta, so Pasta has time here. They just need to get out of this fight up north, because I don't believe that will go well from here on out.
Yeah, Wolfie is trying to follow this force with the infantry, but the Leopard 1s and Martyrs are not going to be fooled. They didn't, so far, have not managed to kill that leader, as I said it. And with 2 Panzer Grenadiers, they're going to have at least some level of screening for the fighting force. The infantry is important because they can move in buildings and spot the enemy from there. So the vehicles don't have to reveal themselves. But yeah, I think Pasta is still going for Echo, going for Broke here. And they are in range of the RPG-7 VLs. Huge mistake there. And Conquerors and Metis, complete crossfire coming in, but still the West German force does prevail and is going to have reinforcements coming in as both Pioneers and Panzer Grenadiers.
Yeah, but the losses here currently all blue. MiG-31 here moving around, gets hit by the Eyehawk. Tornado gets the seed plane pushed out as well. LGB plane moving through. Tornado, can it find the kill? No, the ACM of 60% here too high. Next MiG-31 already around, still has some missiles here, so the Tornado is in trouble. Autocannon engaging now as well. The LGB plane does survive as well. The M110, really the biggest misinvestment here. Pasta misreading the northern situation and just gets completely clapped from all sides. The whole ground force has died there. All the tanks, all the martyrs that were the big mobile force just running into the good defensive position here. And the RPGs of the Soviet infantry, you just can't allow them to ever shoot at you, especially not with German light armor, because those 18 AP will just wreck you, even with heavy armor. And no, Pasta, you're fine, but yeah, this was just not quite it. And obviously, this map sometimes just can be really harsh. GGVP,
Yeah.
And in the end, it is a 2-0 victory for Snowwolfie here.
Yeah, and I feel like this is if had I been Pasta there, I would have also been overconfident. And I think the overconfidence that that Pasta showed, especially in those last attacks, were like they were like load bearing. I think with the price of the one M110, he could have had, or they could have had 2 more Eyehawks. And if the 2 more Eyehawks had been bought just a little bit earlier, especially when the enemy was just completely still, not doing anything, obviously buying their air tab, because what else would they be doing? They're playing 76th. That would have been the spot to just get out most of the anti-air tab for 2nd Panzergrenadier, and then sit behind that instead of allowing the enemy to surprise you with successful airplay, which then basically means that you're aggressing once again, and aggressing with those tanks, as we saw, could end catastrophically pretty quickly.
Yeah, so in the end here, a really rough match here for Pasta, and a well-deserved victory for Snowwolfie, but sometimes, like especially against divisions that are a bit weird, and when you then get into a decent position and you feel like everything is fine, and then something like those random BMD3s showing up in your rear line, like it can just throw you off, and I believe that's what happened here. And then the airplay here of Snowwolfie was relentless, and Pasta was just thrown off, like the M110 buy and so on. Like that was Pasta trying to get into a normal game, but 76 doesn't allow for normal games, and Snowwolfie did maneuver that correctly. So GGVP here in the end. And yeah, with that, we will also end this stream for now, as yeah, the voices here on our end are cracking up a bit. I might be back later tonight with a bit more action. I can't quite promise it, but I will try to get up another stream later with some more Division 2 action. But yeah, we will end the Division 1 stream here for now. So much appreciate all of you coming around here. We will be back with a lot more action over the next couple of weeks here with some group stage, and then obviously with the playoffs later. So if you haven't followed the channel yet, do so right now. If you want to have more people seeing it, leave a like on the YouTube video as well. And yeah, with that said, any final words from you, Chlorite?
And if you want to see more WARNO, Protoss will raid our friend Aim Ducey, who is currently starting out their league game against the fucking Terminator of this game, Pro Commie. So go support Aim Ducey spiritually. That's all you can do, really, in that matchup. Requiesta in Pace for Ducey and all of that. And speaking of Spanish, do you want to go watch me play this today? You can see the VODs on my channel. You can also see my VOD that is deleting in 2 days, in which I discuss a lot of the Epstein files, and also play WARNO during those.
So yeah, with that said, have fun with MDuzy versus Pro